Okay.
So, who here has ever heard of improv?
Heard of it on
Okay.
TV.
So, whose line is it anyway? Is like one of the common ones that most people associate it with. Improv is not just about comedy. Improv can actually be used to help communication skills. Now, why do you guys think that is? Don't all answer. Huh?
So to make stuff up on the spot helps you deal with other people.
It does. It does help you think about things on demand, kind of like the extemporaneous speeching table topics in Toastmasters does. Anybody else got any ideas of how improv can help you with your communication skills? Yes. Okay. So, what are the basic? Yeah.
Because whoever you're improving with, like if you're improving with someone, like acting on a scene or something, you're both improving. So it's like you have to communicate with them, but you have to communicate with them as if you're not like just coming up with it, but you are.
Yes, that's a really good answer. So improv, the basic principle, guideline, rule, whatever term you want to use of improv is that the two people that are on stage, or three people, depending on the scenario, is agreement. Now, question for you guys. Can you have agreement and be in conflict?
No. Yes.
You're both right. Told you this was going to be fun. Conflict is a natural part of life. We're always going to have conflict. Being in agreement doesn't necessarily mean that you agree specifically what the person is saying. You are simply agreeing to that is what they believe, that is what they're doing. So in improv, Ray, come here for a second. We're going to do a quick little example. If I point over there and go, hey, look at that purple elephant, what would be an example of you agreeing?
Yeah, it's so huge.
Now, what would happen if I said, hey, Ray, look at that adorable zebra, and you did not agree?
What color is it, black or white?
What's adorable about it? No, we can't do questions.
It's not even that you're not doing questions. See, you're still in agreement with me. And this is where people get confused. Because that wasn't necessarily agreement, but she was agreeing with me that there is a zebra sitting over there. You start, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Look at that yellow school bus. It's huge.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no school bus over there.
Ah, okay.
You see the difference? By not agreeing to the fact that there is an object over there, I just shut things down. Now, if I said, I don't know what you're talking about, that's not a school bus, that's a giant tractor. We have a conflict, but we're still in agreement.
Because there's something over there.
Very good. Good observation.
So you guys seeing how this works? Alright, so here's the deal. Ray and I are going to demonstrate this just to kind of give you an idea. Yes, I am picking on you because it's fun. And I know you.
It's fine.
That's what you get, Mr. Ray.
So we are each going to pull an emotion word out of this bucket. We are not going to tell each other what our word is, nor are we going to tell any of you guys, okay? We are then going to get a suggestion from you guys for a situation where we might feel something. These emotions may or may not fit the scenario that you guys gave us. It's always entertaining,
Yeah.
regardless. So, Ray, I will let you pick first. Alright, I got mine. Alright, come on up here. So, we need a situation where the two of us might feel some type of an emotion. Please keep it child-friendly. Yes? Okay.
What is it?
Car wreck.
Oh, car wreck.
Wow.
Okay, well,
We got
this will
one. Car
fit.
wreck. And then you guys have to guess the emotion, right?
Yep. Alright, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh. Wow. So, I'm really sorry I hit your car.
Drunken
Whew,
What's wrong?
see ya. Are you
Tired.
okay? Because, you know, I need to go take a nap soon.
Sleeping.
I'm fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Tired and depressed.
Okay, guys, wait, we'll let you do it after I come. So just let us do our scene. So,
Are we done here?
I don't know, like, this is totally your fault, because obviously I know.
Okay.
Tired.
So,
Yes, after. Dude, yes.
All right.
After.
Go ahead, I'm guessing you were bored.
I was bored.
Tired and
More
bored.
than chronic drive. So bad.
Alright,
And you were tired, obviously.
exhausted.
Okay. Exhausted.
Alright, before we get too far, I want to take a moment and talk about this a little bit. Because what are some of the emotions that we've had up here? We had bored and exhausted,
Overwhelmed and anxious.
Nervous.
irritated and frustrated, right?
Yeah.
Now let's think about those for a second. For the most part, everybody was able to get except overwhelmed. No one saw overwhelmed, right? They saw depressed or nervous and a variety of other things, correct? I want to pick on anxious, not you, Grayson, just the term anxious. Okay? What are some different ways that people show when they are feeling anxious?
It's funny because not every thing of anxious shows like you think it would.
Right. So, for example, when I get really anxious, I have one of two reactions. Ray has seen this. I either shut down and get really, really twitchy and start having trouble speaking. But it's not just because I'm anxious, it's also because I'm overwhelmed, because emotions are annoying and they tend to group together, okay? Another way that I can be anxious is I can be like super hyped up and bouncing off the walls and just completely all over the place because I'm like anxious but excited. Or I can be standing here and talking to you guys and anybody realize that maybe I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety about being up here?
No, not at all.
No.
No.
Well, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret.
You are?
Yes, very anxious, especially after last week when I pushed you guys a little too hard and I left here feeling pretty crappy, to be honest. Just fully transparent. Because I pushed you guys too hard without really getting to know you. And part of that was because the way this is designed is to build, and we didn't get to do that last week. Which is part of the reason why we're having a little more fun this week. One thing, I've done this one for years. It's the one that I'm most comfortable with. So I just want you to keep that in mind when you come up here. Don't try to show us what you think we want to see. I want to see what you really think that emotion looks like. And an example of embarrassed. Embarrassed is another good emotion. Because you can be embarrassed and internalize it, or you can be embarrassed to be with somebody else and it's external. And those are going to present differently, right? So just a few little things to think about, because part of the reason we're doing this is so that we can learn how to better communicate. How do you think we are judged? Based more on our words or our actions?
Both.
True. But how often, and we do this to other people as well, we all have our own internal bias. We all have our internal prejudice. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that humans are built. It is a safety mechanism. It is what keeps us protected from danger. The problem is when we don't learn how to recognize that and move past it. Because sometimes you have to move past that, especially when you're not really in danger, but our little piranha brain's like, oh yeah, you are. Okay? So now comes the fun. Because the first volunteers get off a little easier than the second set of volunteers. Because communication is both verbal and nonverbal, yes?
Yes.
How much of our communication and what we communicate with the world is nonverbal? Anybody know?
Wait, what does that mean?
Nonverbal means no speaking.
99.999%.
Not quite. Depending on statistics you look at, it's anywhere between 80 and 95% of all communication is nonverbal. And part of that includes things like inflection and tone and other fancy terms I can't think of off the top of my head. But a lot of it has to do with our behaviors. And the way that we act is the way that we are perceived. And let's think of some situations where maybe someone would not be able to communicate verbally. Anyone? Bueller? You got it. Yes.
A deaf person.
That's a great example.
Oh,
Yes.
Paralyzed.
It could be that you have a physical impairment that is not allowing you to speak. It could be that you are just really overwhelmed and you're really shy, and so you're having trouble communicating verbally. It could be that you just don't speak the language. These are all examples. And then there are some people who are considered to be nonverbal because they are not at a place where they are able to speak verbally. They're not able to communicate verbally. And so oftentimes we don't recognize that they are communicating strictly through the behavior. Yeah.
Not for interrupting, but also people that have gone through like a lot of trauma can't really speak sometimes.
Exactly. See, you guys get this. So now the people who didn't come up here the first time get to come up here and do it without words.
Words? How is that even possible?
Without words.
Yes, you can use any noise, appropriate gesture, because this is a school.
Any noise?
You can wave, you can
move any body language.
that is what we want you to do. You can use noises.
Noises. It don't have to be noises though, does it?
No, you can use any gestures you want as long as they're appropriate because, again, school.
My anxiety's kicking in.
Yeah, we got that.
You can use any noise that you want to, grunts or other like honk honk, stuff like that. You just can't use any known language. Whether it is English or Spanish or Klingon, it does not matter. You do not get to speak.
No!
Covered all bases here. Because happy and excited are pretty close together. Yes? Usually? Relaxed and depressed. Those two don't typically belong together, yes?
I'm mostly relaxed all the time. You see me like this all the time.
Eli, not picking on you at all. I'm picking on the word.
I know. I'm picking on them because they see me do that all the time.
So here's the thing. Why did you guys think that he was depressed? Okay.
Generally, like he wants to be there.
Okay. Anybody else? Why did we think that he was depressed and not relaxed?
I thought he looked like he was sad.
Which is close to depressed. But why? Why did you think that?
He was like,
He had to talk when he didn't want
he
to.
was putting his mouth down.
I thought he was tired, to be honest with
I
you.
am tired, literally.
Which explains why.
I'm angry, tired, and relaxed at the same time.
So let me ask you something. How often have you maybe just felt relaxed and you were just kind of chilling out and people came over like, hey, what's wrong? Are you okay? Are you depressed?
Nope.
Wow. I really wish I lived your lives. Because I've had people like, I'm just chilling out, relaxed, paying, just kind of calm, neutral, apparently.
Also, I should have given it a share.
And I've had people come up to me and go, hey, are you okay? Are you feeling depressed? Do we need to call somebody? Are you suicidal?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one's a very fun question.
I had to get sent to a psych ward before.
So,
I went to sleep.
and this is an example of why we need to be careful with our behaviors, right? Okay. What do we think Miss Sarah was today?
I think she was overwhelmed, like, anxious. Because she was walking back and forth and going in circles.
Okay, anybody else want to give it a shot?
I'm just thinking in the way.
Impatient.
Impatient.
Sarah, you want to give us your emotion?
Overstimulated.
Oh.
You're not
So
lucky.
let's have you feel like
That makes sense. But you would be those things if you were overstimulated.
So let's talk about this for a second, okay? Again, nobody got overstimulated. Who here ever gets overstimulated? right?
Yeah, it's all of us pretty much.
What are some of the behaviors you guys exhibit? Because she's having a hard time trying to figure out how to do this. What are some of the behaviors you use when you're feeling overstimulated?
Excessive work.
Be a little frustrated.
Just shut down really.
Shut down, take a walk.
Okay.
Calm down, come back.
Emotional. What does that look
Let's get
like?
mad
Perfect.
I keep going on it.
Perfect.
Usually I
And emotional can be happy, sad, mad.
Emotional and
There are 5 and I can't remember the others.
emotional and like I'm exhausted.
Okay. Ray, how do you show that you're overstimulated?
For me, I feel like there's like something boiling up inside of me, in my chest.
Well, what do you show that as?
I'm angry.
get mad at being Grace all the time.
So when I get overstimulated, a lot of times I'll start tapping my fingers like this or tapping my eyelids. What else does that look like?
That's what I'm nervous.
I can be mistaken for maybe being anxious, stressed.
Temptation.
Worried.
Yeah, see, these are all things that are behavior. Okay, so let me ask you something. If I'm standing like this, what do you guys think I'm showing you?
You're in trouble.
You're anxious, kind of.
Okay, what else?
Mad. Waiting.
What if I just told you this is my relaxed, comfortable state?
Swear to God, that's me.
Say.
Right? But we are taught that if you have your arms crossed over your chest like this, that you're closed off, and that it means that you're angry. And for someone like me, who really struggles reading body language and picking up on social cues and understanding people because humans are confusing and emotions are even more confusing because, like I said earlier, how often do emotions come one at a time? How often do emotions come in and they're not in conflict with one another? Right? So just like with the rules of improv, you can have conflict and agreement. Because they're occupying the same space in my head and they're in agreement. Yeah, we're both going to be here. We're both emotions. But we're going to conflict with one another because they don't make sense. How can you be grieving but also happy at the same time? That doesn't make sense. Seriously, what was harder for you guys? Was it trying to figure out how to display the emotion that you were given that maybe you weren't necessarily feeling in that moment?
You may not being able to talk instead of like.
Okay.
I just don't care.
Usually when you show emotions, you show multiple, so it's hard to make it a select one most of the time.
Okay. That's a good point. Do you think it would have been easier for you had you been able to speak?
Probably for relaxed, it was like, yo dude,
Yeah.
I get this.
Yeah, that's
So
what
let me ask you this. How many people that were up there were able to actually feel the emotion that they were assigned in that moment?
I mean, I can make myself relax pretty easily, so yeah.
He's pretty relaxed too.
Okay.
I kind of, when I moved my body posture like I did, I felt it.
Okay, so let me
I was
ask.
bored. I mean,
Not gonna lie, a lot of people look confused.
Right. So let me ask you this. How many times have you been in a situation where someone told you to feel a certain way? Right?
Not me.
Like, maybe you are having a rough day and you're upset about something and people are telling you, oh, just relax.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Miss Anita.
That's her telling that. That is Miss Anita.
Yeah.
Miss
100%.
Yeah, I
agree. It's inevitable.
So, what are,
Okay.
you know, I can see it. I've had it happen to me. And what does that do to you when people discount what you're feeling in a moment? Yes.
it's good.
Depends on you.
Good point, Sam.
Oh yeah.
So when you are in a situation and maybe you're like really upset and give you an example that I really hope never happens to anybody, but let's say somebody stole your wallet. Okay? Who here would not get upset if their wallet was stolen?
You love money.
Yeah, but if it's Grayson, I'm okay.
No,
Your wallet.
it's your
If
you know
wallet
it got
and
stolen.
somebody stole it. It had money in it.
That's
Oh, I'm definitely
That's-
hunting them down, and I'm gonna like take everything and tell them to get
Yeah, one of your reasons I'm
Someone-
being this is not because of the
Comment
money,
down.
because I
If
got
it's someone I
license.
know, I'm fine with
I
it.
would be pissed.
You know, just messing around, but if it's someone I don't like, and knows better than touch my stuff, then we're gonna have big problems.
Okay, so let's say you come into school one day and you don't know who took your wallet, but your wallet has gone missing and you know someone stole it. How are you going
we
to
know,
act?
we've seen that for you.
I would be one.
Thank you.
cry.
Right.
One day more.
But what kind of behaviors would you exhibit?
Well,
Any girl
I mean,
cries.
like peed off, but
He'd be angry, for sure.
Yeah, you would be angry,
You want
right?
to kill someone.
I've
Now-
had it happen.
girl crying over.
Let me ask you this.
They're crying over anything.
Guys, please pay attention for a second. This is important. Grayson had someone steal his wallet, right? Is it okay for Grayson to be angry about that?
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Is there any reason why we should not expect him to be angry about that?
No.
Right. Now, Grayson, if you came in here and you started throwing chairs and hitting walls
I did
and,
that.
and cussing people out, right?
Did that too.
Are those behaviors acceptable?
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it is actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's the way I see it.
Come on, guys, take it seriously.
No.
breaking someone's
No.
furniture
If
isn't
I'm
right.
seriously answering the question,
And it doesn't
no.
belong to you.
Right.
Breaking
It
someone
is
else's
not.
stuff.
But in that moment, when you are angry,
In that moment, I just probably wouldn't care.
It's better than
right,
lunging
because
respond.
you are angry, you are focused on that situation. Someone stole your wallet.
I could care less what happened.
Right, because you are angry and that anger is consuming you. And then you have someone who comes in and tells you that you just need to calm down. Or tells you that, right. But what if that person came in, acknowledged that you were angry, acknowledged that you had a right to be angry? Would that help you calm down?
No,
No.
I'm at least we
Why?
because it doesn't solve the problem.
It doesn't solve the problem, but is throwing chairs going to solve the problem?
No.
Sometimes.
Okay, yeah, it does.
Dude,
sometimes.
Okay, think about it this way though.
Okay, then.
Think about this for just a second. If you throw a chair, is that going to make your wallet appear?
Maybe. If I scared the person's bad.
But you don't know who took it,
That's right.
right? So maybe it wasn't anybody in the room that took it.
Maybe not. Or what?
My point is that if you throw a chair, that's really not solving the problem.
No, it's not.
But if you can find a way to calm yourself down, I'm not saying not feel the anger, but slow things in your brain down and problem solve. And think about where is it possible maybe you just put your wallet down somewhere and you forgot where you put it down?
I had that
I
happen
put
too.
my wallet every day in my wallet.
Right, well what if it wasn't at school? Maybe you lost it at home.
I'll probably go home and check it for anything.
Right, see, and that's what I'm talking about. You would stop and you would problem
But I
solve.
mean, I would still be mad about it.
There's nothing wrong with being mad. That's what I'm trying to help you understand. The emotion in and of itself is not the problem, but all too often what happens is we get chastised for feeling things. We get told that we're not allowed to feel certain things, anger being one of them. There is nothing wrong with feeling whatever it is you feel, and you need to honor that feeling. You need to be allowed to feel that feeling, but what you need to also recognize is that there are certain behaviors that aren't going to help you. And if you throw a chair or you hit someone or you break something, you're going to have consequences that you're probably not going to want to deal with down the road. Especially as you get older and police get called, right? So if you can just find a way to help calm yourself down, I'm not saying stop feeling angry. So let's think about another emotion that can oftentimes get us into trouble. What about embarrassed? Right? So, Ray, when you are embarrassed, what are some of the ways that you act?
If I'm embarrassed, I'm probably more shy. I'm not gonna probably engage with you as much. But then I could be just funny, like
I never see you get
Like about the classroom?
That's what I was gonna say.
You just make it funny. You don't
I
really-
try to make it funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
I think that's a good way to diffuse the situation, right?
Favorite moment.
Right, because then it takes the embarrassment off a little bit. I mean, what are you gonna do? It's happened.
You can ease the sting. Now, if you're very self-conscious and you get embarrassed about something and somebody points out the thing that you were embarrassed about, how are you going to react?
Give me another check.
I'm gonna be like, get out of my head, please, thank you.
I face planted in school.
I mean, it's kind of embarrassing all over again, but
It's like a
So,
segue.
if something happens to me and I feel embarrassed, and again, a lot of times emotions come together with multiple emotions, right? So maybe something happens and I get embarrassed, but instead of showing it as embarrassment, I act out and show it more as anger. And so I get upset because if I'm embarrassed, I don't want people around me, and I know that if I get angry and I start acting out and hitting walls or throwing things or yelling at people, people are going to put more distance between me and them. Right? Who else does stuff like that? Right?
I can see that.
I hope annoyance can also get someone in trouble.
Right. And so the emotions are not the issue though, right? It's our behaviors. We need people. We are built to live in community. And so that's part of the reason why communication is important. And it's important to recognize that our behaviors are going to be examined. And so when we're in a situation, whether it's at school or at a job or with police or we are at a supermarket or whatever, and we're interacting with people, they're going to observe our behaviors and they're going to make snap decisions. They're going to look at the way our physical outlook or appearance, and they're going to make judgments based off of that. And we do the same thing, right? Now, what if, once we move past those initial judgments, we actually talk to the person? Based on what? Which again goes back to that relationship. But I want to ask you a question.
Me?
Yes, you. Or the guy that looks just like you sitting in that chair.
Yeah, you can.
If I were to come up to you, and I don't really know you, right? And I was to ask you something that made you uncomfortable, and you responded in a way that I didn't respond well to, right? That interaction isn't going to go very well. And that's where the conflict comes in, but we don't really have an agreement, right? Now, let's say I take the time to ask you questions, and I try to find questions that aren't going to further aggravate you, and you take the time to ask me questions so that we can get to know each other and start to develop some type of relationship. We need people. We are built to live in community, and so that's part of the reason why communication is important. And it's important to recognize that our behaviors are going to be examined. And so when we're in a situation, whether it's at school or at a job or with police or we are at a supermarket or whatever, and we're interacting with people, they're going to observe our behaviors and they're going to make snap decisions. They're going to look at the way our physical outlook or appearance, and they're going to make judgments based off of that. And we do the same thing, right? Now, what if, once we move past those initial judgments, we actually talk to the person? Based on what? Which again goes back to that relationship. But I want to ask you a question.
Me?
Yes, you. Or the guy that looks just like you sitting in that chair.
Yeah, you can.
If I were to come up to you, and I don't really know you, right? And I was to ask you something that made you uncomfortable, and you responded in a way that I didn't respond well to, right? That interaction isn't going to go very well. And that's where the conflict comes in, but we don't really have an agreement, right? Now, let's say I take the time to ask you questions, and I try to find questions that aren't going to further aggravate you, and you take the time to ask me questions so that we can get to know each other and start to develop some type of relationship. This is the way that relationships were explained to me. It was initially a relationship with God, but he has, we have a bullseye, right? This inner circle is pretty small. That is the people that we let into our lives that we are going to allow to get close to us. They're the people that we are going to allow ourselves to be the most vulnerable with, right? When you get to this outer circle, these are the people that are close and maybe we can be a little bit vulnerable with, but we're not really going to let them in because they're not here. And the further we move out of this circle, the less we're going to allow ourselves to feel vulnerable. Because when we're vulnerable, we can get hurt, right? So right now, I'm probably somewhere out here because we don't really know each other. I shot you a few times. I like shooting people with cannon. It's fun. Photography. Come on, guys. Just give me a pity laugh. But as we get to know each other a little bit better, I'm going to slowly come this way, I hope, right? Now, likely I will never be down here for you guys. And that's okay. I don't need to be. But if I can get down in here or even here so that you can feel comfortable talking to me, and it may never happen, and it's okay. The point is that when we talk to each other and we ask questions and we allow each other that opportunity to get to know one another, when we allow each other to share our stories, we become stronger. We become part of that three-braided cord, and that three-braided cord is not easily broken because there is
Connectivity.
connectivity.
Yes.
Thank you. Words are hard. That's why the first book is called that. Does that make sense?
Wait,
So-
what was the question?
Was you paying attention?
No, he's not.
Not like doing it now.
All right, so here's the question for you, Isaiah. Next time you are faced with a conflict, are you going to take the time to talk to the other person so that you can try to move a little bit closer into your bullseye? The key here is the next time you find yourself in a position where you are in conflict with another person, whether you are down in the bullseye or you're further out on the target, are you going to take the time to talk to them and ask questions and try to get to know them
Ain't
better?
that what you said about it?
If I don't know them, then I'm probably
Just
gonna
say
try
yes.
to No, I don't think I would.
He's about.
No, be honest.
That's okay. That is honest, and that's what we're looking for. But I'm going to challenge you because that's how you're going to get to know people. And again, they don't have to get really close to you. That's not the goal. The goal is just to build a community around you. Okay? Like, these are your support people right here. These two right here. These are your main support people. But people out here, you still have to interact with. You still have to learn how to engage with them. So you don't have to like share everything about you. But even if you just say, "Hi, my name is Fred." But the point is that when we introduce ourselves to somebody that we don't know, that is putting vulnerability, because you don't know if they're going to react. You don't know if they're going to say hi back. So even though they're maybe not even on the page, there's still that chance
Hey, I'm Bryson.
to get them on the page and to start to build a relationship. And anybody that is here for you right now probably started out here somewhere, and then they slowly got inside.
Yeah.
Okay?
Slowly but surely.
So does anybody got any questions?
That